Rule number 1,
Bios.
always right. Rule number 2, nothing else matters because
Bios.
it's always right.
Did you pray today? Did you pray today? Did you
I get you down on some gangsta.
pray today? Was you
I get you down on some.
praying today? Did you
Did
pray
you pray
today?
today?
Did
Did you
pray
pray
today?
today?
I think it's been in my head. Did you pray today? Did you pray today? Did you want to pray today? Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bios, and today we are still going on this little journey. I don't know how many videos we're going to be watching, but yeah, I've been looking at the information coming out for Marathon, and there has been some discourse. Where does Marathon fit in? They're charging too much. It's going to fail before it launches. It reminds us of Concord. Yeah, so we're just on this little journey trying to figure out what is going on, try to get a better understanding because I am interested in it and I just don't want it to fail. So, oh my God, Marathon is coming out in September. So I'm hopefully I can get my feedback in during this time and, you know, possibly have an impact, maybe, who knows? And then the game comes out and it's like bad. But yeah, so that's what we're doing. And also, yes, I am wearing the same shirt. Well, sleeveless shirt. I live in a hot area. It is hot. You're going to be seeing this a lot for a little while. And even though my past videos, I be put on a blanket later, that's because I have a portable AC and I put that sucker at 65 degrees. But that takes a while to cool because I have lights. I have my light pointing right here at my computer. So my room, not only where I live is hot, my room is even hotter. So anyways, if you guys have been enjoying the content, be sure to like and subscribe for more. If you guys want to see me live, I do stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Bios101 most nights. And what else? What else is there? If you guys want to see my other videos, I have I'm gonna have more, and I don't really know how everything is coming out, but they're coming. I have one where I react to the live event. I have a Skillet one, and I have a Luke Stevens one. And now today, I don't know what we're gonna be reacting to today. So let's look around real quick. All right, so we have this person right near named Bearki or Bearki. I played 100 hours of Marathon and am answering your questions on the gameplay. So I guess we'll learn about that. But as you can see, there's plenty more. Wait a minute, hold on. Everyone is wrong about Marathon. Bungie responds to Marathon criticism. Okay, so we got content, you guys. We have some content, a lot of things to react to because I really want to get as much information as possible. I really love the aesthetic of Concord. I keep saying it. Oh my God, it's your fault. Of Marathon. I've been saying so much crap like, oh, this is Concord 2. Marathon. I love the aesthetic of Marathon and I do want it to be good. But in my last video, we did learn that there are 3 things that Bungie is not done with. They're not done with the story. At the time of this recording, they're not done with the story. They're not done with one of the maps. And they're not done with a supposed ranked mode. I don't know why they think ranked is for this. It's no, it really isn't. It really isn't. And if there's any Marathon videos do you guys want me to react to, please put them down in the comments. And if there's anything else that you guys want me to react to, like any other game announcements or whatever like that, you want me to check it out, let me know. I might do it on stream or I might make a video of it. So we are going to get started right now.
For me to answer in the comments.
All right, so once again, we are watching Bearki or Bearki. I'm not too sure. The video has 16K views. It came out a day ago. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look.
Hi everyone, I'm here again to talk about Bungie's new extraction shooter, Marathon. I posted another video on Marathon's reveal day covering a lot of in-game mechanics and asked you guys to leave more questions for me to answer in the comments. So here we are. If you haven't watched the reveal day video, I highly suggest you hop over and watch because it gives a good overview of core game mechanics that might help you understand some of this video and the questions that I'll be answering. All right.
Oh, it is her. I can see her in the corner right here. Yeah, I watched her. I think she had one of the best videos just like talking about the gameplay and stuff too. She was pretty funny and very easy to understand. I really appreciate the video that she did.
First question. Is this tied to the original Marathon game in any way other than the name? The short answer is yes, but I don't know enough about the OG Marathon to know what to look for on the maps. But the good news is I have some different info that may or may not answer this. Sorry. I wanted to start the video off with this question because I very recently got the go-ahead to talk about a map that I played in my first playtest at Bungie. This map was on the Marathon ship. I triple checked that I could talk about this because we were told several times not to, and I got nervous, but the map I played is the reason I started getting really hyped about Marathon. Please keep in mind that I played a very early iteration and nothing I say is meant to guarantee that this is going to be released or come out. I don't speak for Bungie. This is just part of my experience that I'm excited to share. The map was very gray box, but what you did on the map was what was exciting. This map essentially felt like it had raid mechanics. It featured several rooms with sets of enemies, and in each room there was an enemy that dropped a key, I think. This key would take you to the next room and so on. Eventually you got to what I assume was one of the boss objectives, and you fought to kill for an artifact. I actually don't really remember a lot of this. It was so long ago. We also had very limited time on that map, and it was the first playtest I ever did, so it was, yeah, again, just a long time ago and a little bit fuzzy. The point is, I think the game could potentially tie a lot more into the OG Marathon lore on this map to satisfy those that were feeling a bit underwhelmed with the connections shown during the reveal. Side note, seeing that map and seeing more complex mechanics to progress through the map brought me back to like my Destiny raiding days, and it got me pumped. Again, I have no clue what they have planned with it or if they're even going that route, but if they do...
Oh, did I pause? The heck? I didn't click nothing.
I think that's what's going to set it apart from other extraction shooters. All right, next question. Can you elaborate on the open area gunfights? It looks a little battle royale in the fields. Can you elaborate about how it feels in those moments? You are absolutely right on the open area fights feeling a bit battle royale-ish. But I think a lot of that comes down to bad map knowledge and honestly, lack of skill. I had quite a few, if only I had done this moments looking back at fights where I just put myself in a bad position. I suspect until people know the map well and use their abilities as intended, we're going to be seeing a lot of those. But the good news is there's not a storm or a circle closing in to force you into a field. So you can avoid them if you're playing strategically. I think those situations exist in any extraction shooter you play until you get used to the map layout. Look at...
Which is honestly very valid. Like, it just puts me back to when I was watching Skill's video and how he was saying that, like, I guess, like, he wanted more fights to happen. And me, I am completely opposed to that because I'm for on how she described that if you play tactically, you can afford these fights if you wanted to, instead of being forced into them. So, and also with that, like, it's new. None of us watching have any hands on this. It's only just, the people that were there. And of course, seeing the map that they're on, and it's new, and, trying to get your mind around it, like, that's going to take some time. As the game ages with the community, which is going to be really fast, the game community and stuff like that is really quick, is where I think the whole dynamic will shift.
Suicide Field on Shoreline in Tarkov, or literally anywhere on Woods. It just takes time and practice. Next question, is there a public playtest coming? Yeah.
Oh, also, especially with YouTube and stuff, and they're making content on the game, it makes the gap of the whole learning curve much smaller because you can already see the game. Even though this is early, you're still getting an idea. You're still seeing weapons, you're still seeing abilities, you're still seeing the premise of this title, and you can already start coming up with strategy and theories in your head so that by the time you actually play the game, you kind of get a good feel of what's going on. Of course, there's one thing of seeing it and then actually doing it, but it still makes that gap much smaller. So it speeds things up real quick.
Yes, April 23rd, you can sign up for the closed alpha on the official Marathon Discord. It is NA only though. How many contracts can you have at a time? Is it one total or one per faction?
As far as I don't think I've answered this question in my other videos. I'm gonna try not to pause too much because my last couple of videos were like an hour long. I won't be trying to get into the public beta, alpha, whatever it's doing right now, the playtest. I will not be getting into it because I'm kind of at a point where, at least right now, I don't want to play games early because when you play them early, I don't know, it just takes away some of that magic of getting in there nice and fresh when the game is actually out and ready. I don't want to be in that testing phase where it's like, oh, this isn't here yet, or all these different types of emotions that before a game is actually out. Granted, I am trying to learn as much as I can, but I don't actually want to get my hands on it until the actual release date, or at least closer to launch. Like, let's say it's coming out in September. In like a month before that, they have a little test. Maybe I'll get into that because it's closer to launch, but not this early out.
Are there negative repercussions for other factions if you work with a different faction? Contracts! I'm a bit surprised I didn't talk about this more in my first video, but each faction offers their own set of contracts. Unfortunately, you can't accept more than one contract total at a time. I wish it was at least one per faction, but at this time, it's just one. I do want to elaborate on contracts overall, though, because I think this is pretty important to progression with each faction. When you unlock a faction, they will have a few different contracts that you can actually choose from. But there are 3 kinds of contracts that are in that deck of things you can choose from: priority, boosted, and standard. As far as I can tell, priority contracts are what progress you through the contract line or the quest line. Standard contracts are standard and give a small amount of XP with the faction. So what are boosted contracts? Well, first of all, they typically give more XP, but believe it or not, you can actually loot contracts for the factions in game. These just take up 1 slot in your backpack and the contract gets added to the deck when you exfil. I do want to reiterate that this was during my time playtesting and they could change this up, but as of the last playtest, there were still lootable contracts. I also want to note that I remember finding different tiers of contracts in Raid, and since you don't see it get added to the deck after you exfil, I'm not sure if that means that you're looting both standard and boosted contracts. Another quick side note about contracts, you can see your teammates' contracts in game. This is such a nice quality of life thing. You can wrangle your teammates to get their stuff done or be the one being wrangled. Last note about teammates and contracts. I found that a lot of the killing contracts were actually shared progression. And what I mean by that is if you have a contract to kill 7 UESC in a certain compound and your teammates killed 4, those 4 should count for you, which is kind of nice. So you're just not fighting over AI to kill.
Which is that's actually really nice. And once again, it aids into my thing of where I don't want to be getting into team fights all the time. If we get into team fights all the time, and let's say you die a lot, which is a really big thing for this game at the moment, where people don't know how they're going to be able to balance teams that go in with little because they die too much and have almost nothing, and then teams that are fully kitted out. If we're always getting into team fights, how are you going to find the time, especially since it is time? Like each run is 25 minutes and you have to get out before the time is done. I wonder what happens when you don't. But if we're getting into team fights and we're dying all the time, how are we going to get things done with these contracts? I mean, of course you could say they can completely rework the contracts, but once again, I don't want that to happen. I do still want the way that they said it, because that's what really appeals to someone like me who doesn't really play extraction shooters. I really think Marathon can be that gateway into the genre for a lot of people, and to make it not as tilting, hopefully. But then again, there is ranked, so we gotta see how that really turns out.
Completing a contract for one faction does not negatively impact your standing with another. I I'm so sorry I forgot to answer that at the beginning. I do want to go into our next question since it's relevant to faction contracts. Will I be able to max out all factions for upgrades? What does leveling do for you? So 50 is the furthest along that I got into leveling during one of the playtests I did, since we have to start over with each new build. But I was definitely making great progress in each faction tree. In my playtest, my runner level didn't have anything to do with upgrade nodes within the trees. However, I think runner level might have something to do with unlocking new factions, but don't quote me on that. We covered this in a previous video, but each faction has their own upgrade tree. You unlock sections of each tree with both faction levels and materials. For example, you might upgrade each part of a branch, then still have the next node showing is locked, even though you've done the previous nodes. If you hover over that node, it will likely tell you that the next node requires Traxxas level 3 or new caloric level 2, for example. The best way I found to level factions is to focus their priority contracts and just play the game. Certain in-game actions actually give you faction XP. For example, downing a runner during the playtest gave me plus 25 Traxxas XP. Killing a UESC scout commander gave me plus 5 Traxxas XP. So my guess is that Traxxas really just wants you to be a little murderer. Alternatively, looting a container would give me plus 1 Cyber Acme XP, so maybe Cyber Acme might be more loot focused. Just pay attention to what's popping up when you do stuff in game. Lastly, as far as I can tell, you aren't locked out of any specific upgrades if you have the faction level and the mats for it. But again, I only got to 50 and
There's
I
that stabbing
to explore that further. Can you choose what map you load into? Yes. Next question.
Oh.
When you kill an enemy, it displays.
I did not know that. You can choose the map that you load into. Oh. Which is really interesting because we've only seen this map that she's playing right now, that green foresty swampy map. I wonder what the other map is. And I really do hope that they add a bigger map. I feel like these small maps, they're not gonna cut it. They're not gonna cut it, babe.
Is plus X amount of XP and plus X amount of currency. What is the currency and what is it used for? Are there traders? How do you buy, sell, and trade? So what you're seeing is your overall XP, and the other part of that you see pop up is actually your faction XP that we talked about previously. But there is a currency in the game, and it's called credits. You use credits to buy things like meds, guns, consumables, and other items from the black market. The black market grows as you unlock the ability to buy higher tier items via the upgrade trees in each faction. That's why I was so adamant in the last video about factions and the upgrades, because they kind of dictate everything in the game. Some of the higher tier items that you buy don't just require credits. Some require mats as well to make a purchase. Think of this like in Tarkov, if they said, oh, you can't just barter this, you need to pay a monetary fee as well. That's sort of the system they have in place at the moment. The black market is your one-stop shop, and as you unlock nodes in the faction upgrade trees, their part of the black market grows. You don't actually use the faction pages to buy anything besides your upgrades. Will there be runner customization? For this question, I urge you to go and listen to what Kevin Giannis said in our interview. It's the video I posted before this one. It sounds like they plan to do skins. I'm not really sure what the plans are past that. Are weapon attachments and mods purely stat increase, or are there deeper
Wait, what was the last
mechanics?
question?
Plan to do skins. I'm not really sure to buy anything besides your upgrades. Will there be runner customization? For this question, I urge you to go and listen to what Kevin Giannis said in our interview. It's the video I posted before this one. It sounds like they plan to do skins. I'm not really sure what the plans are past that. Are weapon attachments and
So we already like have an idea for that. They like, once again, there looks like there's going to be a box price for the game. They're looking into battle pass, and they're looking into selling cosmetics. This aspect alone, I really feel, is going to be a big detractor for this game. It's going to be a major negative because games are already very expensive. Even though we have free-to-play titles, these free-to-play titles like Overwatch, Valorant, Marvel Rivals, etc., they ask for a lot of our time, and a lot of our time are tied to other battle passes and trying to get other things for the game that we're currently playing. I'm shaking my desk. So for this, I really feel that having all of these prices, and I don't know why Bungie thinks they can do this. I really don't know why. Having all of these systems without you know, the game being finished right now because it's very much early days, so they're not really impressing anybody too much yet. Um, it's going to detract from a lot of other people, like trying to get them away from their game. And of course, new people come in because they're gonna look at this and be like, I can just go play this other game for $20 because there's a lot of detractors. You have, like I said, the box price, battle pass, the shop, and then you have ranked mode, and then you have only 2 or 3 maps, you know? Like there's not a lot there. There's not a lot there really attracting people, I feel. So what I think they could do to help if they really go about it like this, you paid the box price and everything else is still earnable. You can earn to get the battle pass for free. You can earn to get cosmetics for free, right? You could earn, what was the other thing? Oh no, that's it. Yeah, you could earn those things for free so you don't feel that the $40 you spent is just adding on to the other costs in the game. If you are impatient, you can just buy them. I think that's fair. Overwatch currently is doing kind of a decent job with this by giving you random loot boxes that you can open, and those things will give you cosmetics from previous seasons, not the current season, however it works, and stuff like that. And then the battle pass will give you enough currency to get the battle pass again and again, or every other one. I know Marvel Rivals is for sure. I don't know about Overwatch, but like the more you make the player feel that their time and money is not being wasted, and also giving them the feeling they could earn stuff for their time, the better. And so far, I haven't seen anyone talk about that. So I'm putting it out there as well. And then I'm going to get to another point that I've also said in previous videos, which I'll also say in this one, but not just yet.
And mods purely stat increase, or are there deeper mechanics? Please elaborate on the weapon mod system. Alrighty, this has been a very hot topic in feedback sessions and during the reveal. As of the last playtest, weapon mods were not swappable, and if you wanted to replace one mod with another, the old one got destroyed. If you wanted to remove a mod, too bad, you're stuck with it until you can replace it. But in a recent interview, the last video I posted before this one that you should definitely go check out if you're the one asking questions like this, I interviewed a developer. He was very insightful. His name's Kevin Yanis. He mentioned that this iteration was part of an economy test in that build, and it doesn't necessarily mean that's what we'll be playing in the closed alpha. So that gives me a lot of hope that they listened when we were begging them to change this. To answer the first part of the question on if they are purely stat increases, yes and no. Most weapon mods you find are going to be purely stat increase, no deeper mechanic. However, there are gold mods. I have yet to find one, but apparently there's some crazy ones that completely alter how a gun functions. So it'll be cool to find those and play around with them. I'm sure there's going to be crazy builds that people are going to come up with. One of the devs told me about one that you put on a pistol. It essentially turns it into a pocket sniper. And I instantly thought of a video I saw going around in Halo Infinite where someone had a sniper scope on their pistol. So maybe it's something like that. Also, a quick note on weapon mods. The mods you have on your weapon actually dictate the rarity level. So that's why I pick up gray weapons that I do like, because I know once I find mods, I can increase its level. How many weapons are
that's
there?
cool.
Will there be unique weapons that won't be moddable? I believe there were 16 base weapons. I have not heard of or seen any unique weapons that aren't moddable, but again, in the playtests, I had pretty limited access to high tier loot rooms. I'm hoping to progress further in this next playtest, but even getting to level 50 was a grind. So if we have less than 2 weeks, I'm gonna have to get lucky with finding keys so I can loot those areas. How does reviving players work? Is it unlimited? Does reviving someone consume anything? For this topic, I'm gonna give you guys the current game mechanics, then kind of go into my thoughts on what should change, because I think some of the res mechanics should be adjusted a bit. Please keep in mind that later on, those are just my opinions, and you're welcome to respectfully disagree. We're all going to be peaceful here. As of right now, it is.
I appreciate that. I appreciate her saying that. I really do. But once again, he does have a lot of influence. So I will happily disagree if it does not sound appealing.
It's unlimited and it does not consume anything. It's just free. If they are downed and you res, they come up and need to heal and replenish their shields. So you if you're down and someone reses you, you have to full heal everything. However, if you get full killed and you are in your little bag on the ground and your teammate reses you, you come up with full health and shield. Not only that, but if your teammate started that res and got interrupted for a second, then went back to resing again, the res wheel kind of saves your progress. So if you only stop it for a second, your progress is still there where you left it. But the longer you're away, the more that wheel regresses. Finally, if you kill a runner and there's a paper doll symbol above their bag, that means that they still have a teammate up. If you kill a runner and there's nothing above the bag, that means you squad wiped. You should be safe. Okay, let's dive into my feedback on this. I think the fact that it doesn't start the res over at all is a little bit OP, but we'll see how it plays out. I kind of honestly wish they would remove the down state entirely. Go ahead and allow people to res if they get full killed, but if you die, you should just kind of full die so you're not just bleeding out, giving your teammate a bunch of call outs. I like extraction shooters because the lack of knowledge creates intensity. Lastly, I don't want a paper doll above bags in general. I like the rush of asking myself if it's safe to loot or if there's another teammate lurking somewhere. Those are just my thoughts as a Tarkov player, and I know that there are players who will really appreciate how the game is currently. I just hope they find a good balance so it doesn't end up feeling like Apex in fights. While I'm on the topic of my personal opinion, I still think that the TTK for runners is a bit high for an extraction shooter.
Here it
has
is.
improved from previous playtests. Are there any unique?
Okay, so before we go, so what I say to it, as once again as someone who does not play extraction shooters, I think most of it is fine. I think the down state for a player can be a little annoying, like since it saves the progress. And the whoever you're fighting can kind of like res the person until they're up if possible. But I think it's fine. I think it's fine because once again, I don't think much. It's really hard to really say it, but I don't initially think that Bungie is trying to make this game too sweaty and difficult and intense. It can be, but they're trying to not make it be like that from the jump, right? Once again, it's like a gateway game to get you into the other games if you do end up enjoying this title. Now I understand what she says about like the information, less information the better, and stuff like that, but I think it's fine for the beginners trying to get into this genre. Now as far as the time to kill, listen, I am pro longer. I'm pro longer time to kill. I don't want to be sniped across the map and then game over. Game over for me. And then I don't want to get shotgun and then I'm so sorry. I like what do they say nowadays? God forbid, like God forbid that I didn't check a corner and got blasted by some invisible dude that I could barely see, and he had a shotgun, and I'm already looking at something else, and he got me from behind. I'm trying to like give me a chance. I'd like to have the chance to respond, whether that be running away, whether that be fighting back, getting cover, something. Give me something to do on my end so that I don't feel like there was nothing that I could have contributed to me dying, you know? Like that's why like in Marvel Rivals, like a bunch of the characters like talk smack about Black Widow sitting in the back and being a sniper, Black Widow and Hawkeye. Like it's just not fun to just walk out from somewhere, then you're back in spawn. Like especially in a game like this where death is really, really important. So they try to mitigate that as much as possible, but also say that you will die a lot. So I think the CTK should remain how it is. If anything, I think it should get a little longer. And yeah. So I mostly agree, except for the TTK. No, I mostly disagree.
Bosses on the maps like Hunt or Tarkov? Are there scab runs or a BTR mechanic? There are mini bosses around the map. You can kind of see visual cues that they're strong, and then obviously their shields are better. In this last playtest, some of them were covered by large red shields, like bubbles, and you needed a consumable to go in and fight them. I wouldn't say there are unique bosses in the sense of them having like a special ability, but I could be wrong on that. They just seemed like harder, cooler looking UESC. There are no scav runs or BTR mechanics at this time. Is there an insurance system? Not at the moment, and I'm not sure if they plan to add it. But I do want to note that if your teammate brings you something into raid and you exfil with it, it's getting sent back to your teammate via the mail system. So no free kits, kiddos, sorry. How is the performance FPS? Are raids like Tarkov where everyone starts at the same time, or is it like the cycle? Performance was good, but again, that doesn't really mean much during a play test because there aren't that many people playing. The closed alpha is going to give us a way better picture on performance for everyone. And yes, the raids will be like Tarkov where everyone starts at the same time. What happens after a sponsored kit if you keep running out of money? This is another question that I had asked Kevin Yanis in our dev interview.
Yeah, so it depends on your value of your vault, right? So if you have stuff to sell, we'll ask you to do that to purchase a sponsor kit. If you're under that threshold, if you're just, if you're crashing out, you will get sponsored kits that will provide you with stuff. And as you progress through the progressions, you'll be able to upgrade the contents of those sponsored kits so that you can kind of raise your floor a bit. I know I personally have had nights where if it wasn't for the sponsored kit, I would have crashed out, but like it kept giving me stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, this is effectively a zero cost run. So why not? Why not hedge my bets? Why not try it out?
Can all runners use Riot Shield or just low?
Okay, a lot of like game speak, whatever, for this, it usually goes over my head, but I think they're talking about because a lot of people were talking about, like I said before, when you're doing a run after run after run, and then you end up with nothing, it's very tilting. So it looks like they have a little bit of a system that kind of makes it okay, where it's like, you even though you'll lose, you won't lose that much because there seems to be a backup. I think that's what they said. If people can understand that a little better than me, please let me know in the comments. I don't know why, I just cannot. In interviews, it's like they speak strangely to me. I don't know what it is. Like, just answer the question, right? But they like to have like this runaround.
Locus. Just locus. Weather variety. Will it be dynamic? The weather in game right now is variable with variable fog and storms. I swear it can be sunny in the game. I've seen it. Another note on weather, apparently when it's raining, your heat capacity increases, which is really cool. So it takes you longer to overheat. There's also an implant that reduces your heat when you're sliding in water. That might not be relevant to weather, but it made sense in my head. Is looting similar to Tarkov where you loot minor components and use them to craft bigger items? How do you feel about the loot system? How do you feel about looting AI? Looting is not like Tarkov where you loot some smaller items, then take them into your hideout and craft them into other things. I went over it a bit in my first video, but you pretty much loot runner implants, shields, guns, consumables, mods, materials, keys, ammo, backpacks, contracts. It can be loose or in containers. Obviously, most higher tier loot can be found behind locked doors, but some compounds sometimes have a red flare on a corner of a building or just placed randomly in the compound. These red flares indicate that there's special loot containers nearby that drop higher end items. It's like a mini locked room that's not locked. I like pushing flares a lot if I'm running a base kit because again, they just drop some pretty helpful stuff. It's also the only place I really find self-reses for some reason. Also, a side note on locked rooms, as of the last playtest I did, if you find a key on Dire Marsh, it's actually a key that you can only open on perimeter. There's pros and cons to this system. One pro is that it's pretty unlikely that the room you want to open is going to get contested if you manage to get it onto the correct map. The con is if you find one in raid, you have to get it out. You can't just kind of find a key and be like, yay, I get to go open a locked room. There's also one more category of things that you can loot, and it's just called valuables. All of these just auto sell when you exfil for credits, and I kind of hope that they take the auto sell option away because I kind of love having like a little mini savings account hoarded in my stash. It doesn't really serve any purpose to me other than a dopamine hit, but I just personally really love watching my money go up. How did you feel fighting players with better gear than you?
I can relate.
Did you think You had no way of winning, or did it feel balanced? What do you think of no skill-based matchmaking? I'll start with skill-based matchmaking question. Having skill-based matchmaking is rough in an extraction shooter because you can kind of manipulate your level to cater to what you're trying to do. A good example is Hunt Showdown. For those of you that don't know that game, Hunt is an extraction shooter that ranks your skill in a star system, going from 1 being the lowest to 6 being the highest. Anytime I get into 5 and 6 star lobbies, I just start throwing. I don't like playing in those lobbies. It's just unfun, and a lot of people that are quote unquote good at the game play way differently than I do, even though I got myself to the same level. I just like more scattered skill levels in a game. I usually put myself back into like a 4-star lobby because it's just more balanced. I still see 6 stars in there, but I also see 3 stars in there. It makes the fights kind of fun, to be honest. On to the first part of the question, asking about how it felt fighting players with better gear. It's hard to answer because, again, the playtests were pretty limiting and PvP was scarce. This last one was the only time we had full matches every game, and we all were fresh accounts, so no one really got to get into any crazy gear. With the gameplay I have under my belt, I can say that I think a solo going against 3 geared dudes will be impossible. Again, I think TTK needs to be lowered a bit to give the little guy a chance if he's landing his shots. One thing I love about Tarkov is
I was confused if TTK is higher for longer or lower for I don't know, but whatever makes it longer for you to die. I would kind of say. But what she said about the skill-based matchmaking, that is very interesting. I am aware about people being able to manipulate when oh my god, I am very aware that people are able to manipulate the system so like some really high skill person could get like annoyed or toxic and then throw their games and drop all the way down to the bottom and bully lower level people. Like, I am very aware of that. So I guess in this sense, like, yeah, we don't want skill-based matchmaking, except when it comes to ranked. I guess just don't have ranked. That's my take on that. Just don't have it.
that I can go into a match with a Mosin and wipe 3 mega geared dudes if I'm hitting my shots. And I want this game to have that opportunity as well. Have you played any other maps? Do they play differently, and are the PvE enemies different on those? How big are the maps? How many maps are going to be released on launch? I have played 3 maps total: Dire Marsh, Perimeter, and the map on the ship that I can't remember the name of. Dire Marsh is largish, but kind of flat. It's comparable in size to Customs in Tarkov. It's bigger and has more playable landmarks and points of interest. Perimeter is smaller, but still medium largish. I'm so sorry for these size units I'm using. I just don't know how to describe maps. But Perimeter has more vertical playability, in my opinion. I think that they're planning to release 3 on launch. I don't know what the 3rd map will be. As far as different PvE enemies, map to map, I didn't really notice.
So she only played 2.
Anything.
Wait, she just said she played 3.
We're planning to release 3 on launch. I don't know what the 3rd map will be. As far as different PvE enemies, map to map, I didn't really notice anything different map to map besides the actual map itself and the availability of lower tier loot on Perimeter. I think Perimeter had mostly like the beginner loot stuff. That's really the only differences I saw besides the obvious. Thank you guys very much again for taking the time to put some questions in the comments. I wanted to get a decent amount put out sooner rather than later, but I still see more questions coming in. So if you would like another video answering questions to go even in further detail about things, please let me know in the comments and include what you'd like to ask. Again, this format's very new for me, and I'm excited to keep learning, so any feedback is greatly appreciated. Have a great day, guys.
All right, what a great video. I really like her. She is very concise. She explains things very simply, and she really goes out of her way to help you understand the content, and I really appreciate that, especially with, you know, someone like me and probably as you trying to get as much information as possible. I really appreciate it. So that is the video, and those have been my thoughts during this video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of all this. Did this help you guys understand a little bit more? And if there's any marathon videos that I almost said Concord. If there are any marathon videos that you want me to watch, please list them down in the comments and I'll check it out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh, before we leave, I do want to say again, I'm going to probably be saying this for most of my videos. One of the things that marathon needs to do, let me head back to the beginning here. All right, so this is just an example. So here, I believe it's one of the faction screens. I could be wrong, but yeah. So you see the bottom corner with this head. That is a faction. So this needs to be scrapped, in my opinion. My like, not even a humble opinion. Scrap it. Like, honestly, scrap it. And the reason for that is because, and I'm probably gonna say this in every marathon video that I do, because I really believe that marathon would benefit from this. Put a hub where it could be like not a multiplayer hub, just a hub area like a ship or something for your character that you can also invite your friends to. There should be screens like computers or actual vendors for your factions and the black market and stuff like that that you can physically go to, not behind a menu. And the reason why I say this is because Marathon's story is compelling. It's very light, but the visual aesthetic and what they actually went through in their promotional trailer, the cinematic, was enough to get someone like me interested. And I really, really believe that if they just allow us to control our character that is not in the extraction gameplay, but to just walk around in third person, third or first person, I think third person would be good, to like customize, go to a vendor, maybe even get some more lore expedition through that. That would like greatly improve the appeal and to help Marathon stand out against the others, because I don't know if the others like Hunt Showdown or whatever has that mechanic, but I really think this could work. Like something like the No Man's Sky hub, for example, like when you go to that bubble ship thing and you can walk around. So I think something like that would be amazing for this game. And you can invite your friends, hang out, plan out your run before you actually go, like maybe like a little table or fire or something like that. You can like come around, to really immerse you in the world of Marathon. So I think they would greatly, greatly improve from something like that. And I'll say it for every video. All right. That is all for today. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.